is the minors, the breakout stars,
early on in day 3 of the draft, the Pirates called,
the wild moments, and the prospects you need to know about.
A sub-3 ERA in both single and double A.
This is Minor League Weekly, your inside look at the future of the game. And away we go, episode 3 of Minor League Weekly on the Minor League YouTube, or the Minor League Minute YouTube channel, Minor League Minutes, on all of your preferred platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, of course. Minor League Weekly can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and again, YouTube in a live capacity every Monday at 7:15 p.m. Central Time. I'm Cory Sparks. I am joined by Sam Strash, 1 week post-grad. Sam, how you doing? Oh, we got you.
Oh,
Sam, are we back?
Oh,
There we go. You're good. Battling through
well,
it.
so it just talked about pre-show. I said there may be a moment where I cut. I missed everything you said after we're on these platforms. So,
You're okay. How is post-grad life going? How is everything treating you a week out?
well, we're a week in, and it's the world's worst time to be unemployed, but we're gonna figure it out. You know, Christmas this week, get to go home and visit the family. Got a busy week of gotta go to this place for this celebration, this place for that celebration, and driving all across Wisconsin and Illinois. So it's gonna be fun. But I imagine that once January hits, we're gonna be in solid shape, looking for somewhere to work.
There we go. Jacob, how we doing all the way on the East Coast over there in Philly?
yeah, doing great. Yeah, like Sam, getting ready for the holidays, driving around, traveling, getting last minute shopping's done, traveling presents here and there. So yeah, excited for the holidays coming up.
Good stuff. Well, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedule to jump on here. This is essentially the Christmas episode, so if you're on YouTube, everything's red and green. We're celebrating as much as we can here on the stream. And very quickly, for our headline segment, I do want to go over a couple of deals. One being Shane Baz was dealt to the Orioles a couple of days ago for a 4-prospect haul. The Rays are getting Slater DeBrun, Caden Bodine, right-handed pitcher Michael Forret, and outfielder Austin O'Verne. Competitive balance round A draft pick as well. My quick takeaway here, I'm a little shocked, dating back to our conversation literally a week ago, that Coby Mayo was not included in this package, considering he's essentially blocked. But nonetheless, Jacob's suspicion, and I want to give him credit for this, that the Orioles would make a move for pitching, and frankly they needed to, was spot on. It just wasn't Tarek Skubal, at least yet. I don't know if it's going to be at all now, but they make a move for a guy who shot out of a cannon last year in Shane Baz, and then kind of cooled off the last couple of months.
Yeah, I think, again, you look at the package, and I think everyone's first reaction is it's a lot for Shane Baz. And, maybe a few years ago, might have been a bit more justified. This past season really clouds the value. But my thing is, look at what the Orioles did with Trevor Rogers. Everyone questioning their trade with Kyle Stowers, with the Marlins. Of course, Kyle Stowers is awesome. But Trevor Rogers, I mean, no slouch himself, had a great year last year. I think the Orioles are looking to do the same thing here with Baz, kind of do some tweaking with his pitches, do some tweaking, maybe get some velocity up, and have him be the frontline starter he was projected to be with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and this move really just opens the floor for a Boston or New York to get involved in Tarek Skubal now, right? There's a little bit of residual effect from a move like bringing in Shane Baz from a division rival in Tampa. Like you said, Corey, I'm also shocked that Coby Mayo wasn't involved in the turn, considering that Tampa Bay, just about an hour later, moved Brandon Lau and Jake Mangum to the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? 2 big league bats, and they didn't get a big league bat in return.
So to build off of that, Sam, and I'm going to be very selective in how I ask this question, because the main criticism for Pittsburgh was run support. It's a huge reason that Paul Skeens had a .500 record despite having a sub-2 ERA, and he was actually putting up a losing record for the most of the year. He had to catch up, kind of climb uphill to get up to 10-10. Not should they, but are they done? Are the Pirates done getting significant bat names? I'm not talking about prospects, but in terms of guys who are league ready, are they done building their offense for the outseason, knowing Bob Nutting, knowing how they operate, but also knowing what they need?
Well, I don't think that they're going to be fully done yet. But I think it's a matter of, are players going to be willing to sign to play for the Pittsburgh Pirates?
Fair.
I think the activity is still going to be there. They're going to pursue names, and they're going to pursue guys at fair value. But I don't see them bringing in any like significant names.
That's totally fair. Until we get the salary floor, and I do think it'll happen, I think it's just as likely as the salary cap, which Sam brought up before. You have to have some type of competitive balance move where everyone operates in a window. It is essentially the wild, wild west right now. Until that happens, it's tough for me to also say the Pirates go out and get a crazy name, but the appeal also needs to be there. Is it just Paul Skeens and friends, or is there going to be enough support where you think you can make a run in the NL Central, or at least the NL wildcard race? I quickly want to go to risers and fallers, except it's not called that this week. It's called Naughty or Nice. Was kind of scheming earlier this week, and Jacob goes, let's go with some Christmas-themed names, so you'll notice that in a couple of capacities here. But Naughty or Nice is just risers and fallers, but kind of coined differently. Jacob, we'll have you start off with your nice.
I'll start off with the nice and going kind of in the theme of the World Baseball Classic, fellas, which is coming up here at the beginning of the new year. Spring training coming forward, and top prospects in the WBC, rosters coming together for countries across the world, standout stars, staking their claim. We talk about Tarek Skubal, talking about Joe Ryan, Logan Webb, USA's rotation that they're putting together, but some top prospects, a few of them already confirmed, some other guys that are rumored to be representing certain teams. Nolan McLean for USA confirmed, Travis Bazzana for Team Australia, both of them already confirmed that they will be participating. A few other names that are rumored, Henry Ford, who we talked about with the Nationals, he is rumored for Team Great Britain. He's someone that played a few years ago in 2023, could also play again for them. And J.J. Weatherholt, the Cardinals, one of their top prospects, the number 5 prospect in baseball, rumored to play for Korea with some heritage there with his grandmother. So, very, very similar to what we discussed in episode 1 with the Arizona Fall League. I think the World Baseball Classic for these prospects is a great opportunity for these guys to get opportunities to be on the biggest world stage, to have that energy, really the closest thing you can get to a World Series if for these young prospects to get that experience. So would love to see more guys on those WBC rosters.
I think it's a great way to just segue into Major League Ball for some guys, whether it's a Nolan McLean who's been there for a bit or a Travis Bazzana who has not been there yet. Go up against the best, and it's not really ridiculing or operating against what you're doing in pro ball, but it's a great way, just like the Arizona Fall League, for guys who are maybe in a bit lower levels, trying to work their way up into the AA and AAA level, to play up. It's like the 12-year-old who's a little too good for their team, so they go to 14 or 15U, and they're like, all right, can you hang? Are you able? And with Nolan McLean, with Bazzana, with Ford, with Weatherholt, you get an opportunity to do that. And Jacob, I love the point that you also made about the stage. These guys might be playing in the AL wildcard round or the NL wildcard round a few months from now, later this upcoming calendar year. How are they going to handle it? Well, maybe a little bit better when they're on a worldwide stage. For my nice, I have a little indie ball love. Let's head on over to the Frontier League. This is really fun, where the Joliet Slammers in Joliet, Illinois, have decided they're going to play an exhibition game in about 4 months' time at a jail. The jail is no longer in use, but it feels like this should be on the naughty list. Just, crime, whatever, but that's a bad joke. But this is such a unique concept. This team's namesake, the Slammers, they're based off a prison. So the front office made the decision to have the exhibition game. They're going to title it the Big House Ball Game, and they're playing it at the old Joliet prison, no longer actively in use. According to the Slammers, baseball was introduced to the old Joliet prison over 100 years ago in 1914 by a warden who was trying to up the camaraderie, get the morale up. A lot of these guys were hanging their heads. They weren't very happy with the situation they were in, and gals. So this was a way to encourage good behavior, get some physical activity in. You know, you get like the hour of basketball. Well, this was let's go out into the courtyard and play some baseball. And inmates continued that tradition until the prison closed just after the turn of the century in 2002. Now the Slammers are bringing baseball back to the very courtyard where it started over 100 years ago. Bill Murray is the partial owner of the Slammers, so he was involved in the decision-making process. I legitimately might go to this. I live like an hour and a half from Joliet, 2 hours from Joliet. It's on April 30th. I have never heard of anything like this before. My question for you guys before we go to Sam's Nice, if you had the chance to, would you go to an old prison yard to watch baseball?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty fun, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now where's the field? Like so they're putting it in the yard. Is it like one of those sandlot like custom fields you can make where you play on the like a street ball kind of like setting?
Kind of. So the pictures I'm seeing, at least from when it was in use, is it's not a fully enclosed courtyard. Like the jail doesn't go around it in a cube. It's like an L. The other L is open, and then you have your chain link fence behind where home plate is. I'm assuming they're going to bring some temporary seating in and people will walk around the concourse. But essentially, where your home run is going to be, I think, I can't confirm this, is going to be like some spot on the wall. Like you're going to hit at the jail because it's not in use anymore. So no real harm in it, right? But one of the pictures they took was through the window. It was a shattered window, and it was kind of their way to tease, here's where home plate is. They're facing the jail. I think they're literally like hitting at the wall of the jail, which would be really cool. So I thought about that. I'm like, if it's a fully enclosed courtyard, I don't think you can make this happen because it's kind of like a racquetball situation, but it's semi-open. I'm curious to see how they're going to do this. It's also April 30th in the Midwest. Real chance it's like 35 degrees still. So a lot of elements at play, but I am excited to see what the Slammers do, and there is a non-zero chance I go to see it myself in person. It's a cool concept.
I agree. I might actually join you on that because I'm also about an hour and a half, just a different direction. My nice list here, a real riser too, if I do say so myself. Yoiker Fajardo was part of the Wilson Contreras return package to St. Louis. He's the newest member of the Cardinals' top 30, and he went from number 23 with Boston. This just shows you how deep Boston's system is, or how weak St. Louis's system is. Take your pick. He went from number 23 with Boston to number 9 in St. Louis's system now. He's a starting pitching prospect, and I love the physical game. He keeps his glove side really tight. The slider has a lot of vertical drop as opposed to horizontal movement. That is something that Boston was trying to work on with him, is developing a sweeper kind of a pitch while keeping that slider and its vertical drop. The changeup has nice inside kick to it if you're a righty, away from lefties. And solid numbers with the rookie Florida Complex Red Sox and with the single-A Salem Ridge Jacks last year. 19 games, 17 of them starts. He allowed only 52 hits, which is the same amount he allowed in 6 more starts than he had in 2024. So he got the hit tool, or the opponent hit tool down. 204 batting average against. Only 27 walks compared to 83 strikeouts. So the Cardinals just got themselves a pretty nice starting pitching prospect to build around.
I like it a lot. I think the skill set is great. And you texted me, or no, my buddy texted me right when the deal happened, saying he's a Cubs fan, but yes, Contreras has left the division. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I think he's on the other end of it.
He's left the better organization too. Mm-hmm. Remember that interview?
Yep. I don't have a goldfish memory when it comes to former players making statements like that. So, nope, very good point. Jacob, we'll go back to you with who your faller or who is on your naughty list for this week.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm a generous Santa Claus, guys. Maybe, maybe a second nice list here. It's a naughty nice list, but gotta shout out, I guess, Tom Brady for growing on me with the Greg Maddux reference, the two-seamer reference that he had on the broadcast. I believe it was the Bears-Packers game that both of you guys were tuned in watching, commenting on. I think it was a throw. Jordan Love earlier in the game. He's like, looks like a two-seamer. Greg Maddux two-seamer. Got some quote tweets on Twitter, X about it. So, I guess nice, naughty, glad to see someone, giving some homage to the Professor Greg Maddux on a football broadcast at the end of the season. So, little naughty, nice, yeah, great homage to
I'll help
Maddux.
you make this a naughty. He made a 6-7 reference during that game.
Did he really?
That's a
There it is.
naughty.
There it is.
He did. He did do that. I forgot exactly where it was. I think it was in the second half, but there's the naughty.
There it is. There it is.
So,
nice and naughty, yes.
was it him just saying like 6 or 7 yards? Because now I feel like I'm noticing commentators
Yes.
say that a lot
Yeah.
more.
Yep.
Maybe
It was that
Yeah.
one.
Maybe it was just by accident. No, it probably wasn't. It was probably on purpose.
Could be.
Subtle. Very
be.
subtle, but didn't slip it by Sam. All right, well, nice. Yeah, I noticed that too. The little two-seamer reference. It was like 30-mile-an-hour gusts, so the ball was kind of whiffly at the beginning of the game. My naughty is going to be, or for fallers, I feel like I keep harping on them, but the more I dig into their situation, the worse I feel. It's the Colorado Rockies. They only have a pair of top 100 prospects. That's not great. One is Ethan Holiday. Charlie Condon is the other one. Condon is the other one. Neither of them are in AAA yet. So your only two top 100 prospects are not league ready. They're probably not ETAing next year. Big League Club went 43 and 119 this past year. That was 2 wins shy or 2 losses shy, depending on how you look at it, of the White Sox record that they set the year prior. And Colorado's picking 10th in the draft, as it was announced at winter meetings earlier this month. So you've got a big league ball club that's struggling mightily. You didn't get nearly the draft slot that you were hoping for, considering the season your big league ball club had. And your farm system's not great. Holiday is a really fun name. I think he's going to turn out well. And honestly, maybe he'll be in the big leagues a lot sooner than he should be because they're just not competitive in the Mile High City right now. But I genuinely don't know where they go from here because they don't have home run hitters or cornerstones in the big leagues to trade for to get prospects. They can't really conjure up a great prospect haul to go and swing for a great big leaguer anyway. Not that you do that as a 43-win team. And you're drafting 10th. I feel bad for him, genuinely, because I look at the 3 different facets and I sit here going, what is Colorado going to do? So they're naughty, but I also just genuinely feel very badly for the Rockies at this point.
Yeah, I mean, their system is not great. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like some of the guys that they acquired at the deadline last year, like Griffin Herring and what was his other name? Josh Graz was another good name that they got, both in the Ryan McMahon trade. So I did enjoy some of the names they got back just to fill out their top 30. But you're right. There isn't much going on in the farm. Just in general. There's no supreme superstar talent other than Ethan Holiday and Charlie Condon, right? Chase Dollander's all right, but
Yep.
I think did he graduate prospect status yet?
I
Or
think
is he
he's
still
done.
there?
Yeah, he's up and he logged enough innings, so
Okay.
he's a big leaguer now. But yeah, good point.
Yep. So he graduated. That's just a couple other, like Rock Riggio's another name to look at. I think he was another trade acquisition at the deadline last year. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but Rock Riggio's another name to look at. Zach Veen is already up in the bigs. He's gonna turn into something all right. But yeah, even if all those guys play up to their potential, they're nothing more than probably an 80-win team in 5 years. My naughty list here is I'm gonna pick another big league team. Baltimore. I know I just saw we posted that poll in the comments section. But you moved, now correct me if I'm wrong here, Baltimore, but you moved a 26-year-old starting pitcher with an injury history, a guy whose shoulder might just be melted butter, to clear room in your rotation, to then add another 26-year-old starting pitcher with an injury history? That just doesn't make sense to me, right? And they drained the farm to do that. Like, if I'm Baltimore, I'd rather take my chance on Grayson Rodriguez and keeping all of those prospects instead of trading for Shane Baz and having none of those guys. And obviously, yes, they didn't move Beavers. They didn't move Ike Irish. They didn't move Esteban Mejia. They didn't move Enrique Bradfield. They didn't even move a guy like Samuel Basayo, not saying they were going to, but they didn't move any of their top 5. But Slater DeBrun, man, he's going to be something sick. He's going to be so good someday. And you moved him for Shane Baz? I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. The full transaction here, if we were to combine those two trades on a wide scale, the full transaction is you brought in Taylor Ward and Shane Baz in exchange for Grayson Rodriguez, the 33rd overall pick next year, Slater DeBrun, who was the 35th pick last year, Hayden Bodine, Michael Forret, and Austin Overn. Woof.
Yeah. I'm going to try and give them the benefit of the doubt. It's very tough to do so because he literally didn't play for all of 2023. The 2 reasons I think the Orioles may have done this, and the one I can't fully back up with stats, but I was a Shane Baz fantasy owner for about 2 months because he was pitching really good, is maybe they were locked in on what he was doing very well in April and May and into early June, where he looked like he was going to be an all-star, and then he kind of fell off the table and didn't do very well the last couple of months and went, all right, what can we do to encapsulate that? I really hope they don't think they have a strong reliever because you don't give up that package for a reliever, but is they're babying him in his innings in his future? And then the other thing is he more than doubled his innings output, his career high innings output. He had 79 innings in 2024, over $160 in 2025. I'm wondering if they believe there's something there. It's just he falls victim, like a lot of pitchers, to fatigue, to inconsistency, to, oh, we got more than like 30 innings of tape on this guy. Now all of a sudden they have to make adjustments, talking about the hitters. They're able to. The chess match continues with him making adjustments. I do agree, though, and I'm very curious to see why they gave up the prospect haul that they did when, again, you have somebody like Kobe Mayo blocked, still sitting there. You bring up Basayo and Adley. I wonder what's going to happen with the Pete Alonso acquisition, because I don't think there is a world where we get to opening day in a few months and Pete Alonso, Adley Rutschman, and Samuel Basayo are all on the same team. Is that fair to say?
Definitely fair to say. Definitely. On top of that, too, I mean, Shane Baz doesn't have a ton of control left on him anymore.
Nope.
He's out maybe, what, one more year, Arb?
Arbitration.
Like 2027, 28 free agent?
Yep.
Yeah. Taylor Ward, expiring contract. I mean, hello? Like, are the lights on? Nobody's home?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm standing here on Baltimore, is they just made... I applaud them for some of the big league moves they made. The Taylor Ward for Grayson Rodriguez swap, great. Just at face value, that's a great move. Pete Alonso, bringing him in, great. But they're not thinking 4 steps ahead like a major league franchise should. It's clear they want to win it all this season, or they're going to go back to another 5-year rebuild or a 6-year rebuild. And it's going to be bad. And Pete Alonso's not going to outplay that contract. He's going to go finish it out somewhere else when they have to move him to then refill the prospect system with a number 6 and a number 10 and a number 11 and a number 30. Like they just moved for a 26-year-old starting pitcher with pork shoulder in his elbow.
Yeah. And again, like how many of those pivotal pieces outside of Pete Alonso are going to want to stick around in 2027 when Arb's hitting for some of your big league guys? Oh, you actually only won 78 games in the winner go home year, and it starts to get all torn down. It's a really good point. I don't know how much foresight there is in Baltimore right now, or maybe we're just not seeing it. But you,
yeah,
moved a
we
lot.
might just not see the vision. There
Fair
is
enough.
no vision. They're legally blind over there in Baltimore. They need like the strongest possible contacts and like glasses lenses you could possibly have right now.
Fair.
Old Bay's in the eyes.
Yeah, right?
Old Bay.
Exactly.
Rough.
Which
I bet that stings.
exactly. All right. I think that's going to do it for Naughty or Nice. Completely off topic, but I forgot my glasses. Went to work today. Awful. Probably going to have to get contacts because I couldn't see anything. So We struggled, but we fought through it. We ran the ball. All right, next is On Deck the Halls. Credit to Jacob for this name. It is guys in AAA ETAs of 2026, or maybe it's not an ETA of 2026, but we think it's going to be. Long story short, they're going to be in the big leagues this year. We will start again with Jacob.
Yeah, so first guy, talk about him a little bit later on with our farm features for the New York Yankees. Carlos LaGrange, the number 74 overall prospect in the top 100. The Yankees' number 2 prospect, right-handed pitcher with an ETA of 2026. Finished 2025 in Double-A Somerset, has an electric fastball, lively fastball with a 70 grade. Average is high 90s. You're looking at 97, 98, has topped out at 102 before. So we're looking at like Hunter Green level of velocity, high rising fastball, wipeout slider, and looking at the Yankees, Luke Weaver, Devin Williams, both out the door in free agency. This is a guy that, especially with a crowded rotation, I know the Yankees are looking to add a name there. Amai is linked to them, some other names as well. LaGrange could be a guy that they could put in as a versatile relief pitcher as well. Guy with high velo. He does have 3-4 pitch mix. Get into him a little bit later on, but definitely a guy I think the Yankees could add to that bullpen as soon as next season. And the next name, mentioned him a little bit earlier, a little tease from back on my first nice list there in the last segment. J.J. Weatherholt for the Cardinals, the number 5 overall in baseball. A little cheating, if you will. Number 5. He's right there. He's close. Cardinals number 1 infielder, shortstop, second base, third base. Brendan Donovan trade rumors as well, especially with Contreras out the door. But even if he stays, you can put Weatherholt at third. I know Arenado, could be in another uniform as well. He can plug and play at all 3 of those second, short, third. Him and Mason Wynn, I think, are going to be the duo up the middle for years to come in St. Louis. Played 47 games in Memphis to end the season. 314, 416, 562 slash line with 10 home runs. He's got pop. He gets on base. Strikeouts were down in AAA. Yet he's ready for the bigs, fellas. I think the Cardinals going to give him the quick call in a few weeks.
Yeah, when someone's hitting north of 300 at a decent sample size in AAA, it's kind of like when you're making like a chicken or beef or a ham. It's like, oh, it's at 170. Like, we can take it out. It's okay. It's done. We don't need to let it marinate anymore, right? I think Weatherholt's ready. I 100% agree. And with all the moving parts in St. Louis right now, should be making his debut. Wouldn't be shocked if he was even on that opening day roster. I'm going to stay in the Central with you and go over to Chicago. Jaxon Wiggins. 67th overall prospect. He's the Cubs' number 3 at this point. Righty, his ETA is 2026. I would not be shocked if he was on the opening day roster. We'll see how spring goes. His frame, 6'6", 225. The ball flies off his hand. Fastball sits 96, 97. It can touch 100 if he really gets ramped up. Adrenaline starts running high. He's in a playoff game or he's in a pennant race down the stretch. I could see that happening. He has a nasty slider that looks wiffle ball-like when it's on. That can also be his Achilles heel, though, because it's so nasty, even he struggles to control it. So if he can start it in the zone, create enough deception, tunneling where guys are missing, that's a good pitch for Jaxon Wiggins. If he can't locate it and all of a sudden guys are able to pick up on it and get up on him 2-1, 3-1, that's where the walk issues start to come in. Changeup is low 80s. That served as his third money pitch. And when you look at the Cubs' overall roster situation, their largest need right now is pitching depth. Rotation consisted this past year of Matthew Boyd, Shota Imanaga, Cade Horton, who got called up, Jamison Tyone, and then Colin Ray and Javier Assad when he came out of injury. They kind of shared that 5 spot. A couple of others played with that 5th rotation spot too. Going into 2026, Justin Steele, as long as he recovers well, is supposed to be in there. Tyone's been solid, and they're financially tied to him, but I wouldn't say he has a stranglehold on a rotation spot. If the right name comes along, Wiggins could be one of those. And if it doesn't work out, then just look at the bullpen. Brad Keller, the setup man with a high-octane fastball, off to the Phillies. Drew Pomeranz, spot started, mid-reliever, off to the Angels. So I think there's a spot for Jaxon Wiggins. It's just not fully fledged out where that's going to be. Is it the 5 spot in the rotation? Is it a mid-reliever? I don't think they'd slot him in as a setup man right away. That's kind of setting someone up for failure, frankly, unless you think he's league ready. But put him in some low leverage situations to start, and I'm curious to see where he tops out. You mentioned you were cheating earlier, Jacob. This is like the definition of cheating. I'm going with Trey Savage. He technically hasn't graduated, but he did make the big leagues in the postseason this last year. 26th overall. Jays #1. Not going to be much longer once he graduates. Our righty did debut in the postseason for the Blue Jays. Then he turned into that postseason like Rocky story for this Blue Jays team that almost took out the Dodgers. They were mere outs away from it. So what got him there? A lot of people are wondering that because this is a compelling story, guys. He started the season in A-ball and finished in 1 year in the minors in the major leagues. You've seen guys start the season in Double-A and make the jump with the expanded roster. This is an anomaly. So a lot of people are wondering, how did Trey Savage surge up so quickly? I think part of it's the over-the-top delivery. You watch this guy throw the rock. The arm side ride on the fastball helped too, but his release point looks about as close to 12 o'clock straight up and down as you can get. I wonder if that led to a very high 56% ground ball rate because the eye level is up near that hand. It's up sky high, sharp angle, very much a downward motion off the release where opposing hitters kept smacking the ball into the ground. They could not get under it. They got way too much on top of it. There's your ground ball rate. From there, 94-mile-an-hour fastball velocity didn't seem to hurt him a whole lot. And I think it's because of that over-the-top delivery. It's because of the movement. It's because he was able to nibble that he also got a whiff rate in the mid-30s. Sharp high 80s slider, and a third of the time he mixed the split in there, about a fourth of the time. And the guy just flat out performed. The Jays had a solid pitching rotation this year, especially with guys like Chris Bassett being able to be inning eaters and force weak contact. I do think there's an entry point somewhere for a guy like Savage who, if nothing else, you take the high release point out of it, you take the whiff rate out of it. He went into the postseason as a brand new rookie. He was not 165 out of the oven. He was probably like 97, and he performed. He got up to the moment and completely helped his team go on what was almost a World Series title run. So I think Savage is back. I don't think that was a blip on the radar. I'd be very shocked if we saw him in AAA for a lot of time next year, if at all.
I doubt he's at AAA.
Yeah.
With everything I am, I'd put the house on him not seeing the minor leagues again unless it's for rehab. Mm-hmm. I think he's definitely earned his way onto the big league roster. I think he's here to stay, and I don't see him unless it's an Alek Manoah situation where he gets the yips so bad that he can't even like hold a baseball. I think he might see like one of those Jackson Churio-esque extensions pretty soon, just to lock him into Toronto for quite a long time. Now, I thought about going that same route with a guy like Chase DeLauter.
Mm-hmm.
I really did, but I feel like he was talked about a lot last year. We did a few short forms on him. I think Chase DeLauter, the points across that he's definitely going to be a big league contributor this year. But let's go to the America's Dairyland. Let's go to the Brewers. Danny Jansen just left. Signed a 2-year deal worth nearly $15 million with the Rangers. And the Brewers now have a 23-year-old catcher, number 84 prospect in baseball, 4th in the Brewers' top 30. Just had a productive season at AAA Nashville despite the injuries. He's already 23 years old. Kind of see where I'm going with this, right? Jefferson Caro, I think it's time that he becomes the backup, right? 70 grade arm and 70 grade fielding as a catcher. That's legit. He missed, like I said, he missed a bunch of time last year due to injury, and he missed almost the entirety of the 2024 season where he started at Nashville, mind you, due to a torn shoulder labrum. He had 1 at-bat registered in 2024. But we can pay, and I say we because I am a Brewers fan, we can pay Jefferson Caro nearly $14 million less than Danny Jansen to be better than Danny Jansen. Right? 58 games last year, 748 OPS, 255 batting average, 6 homers, 44 RBIs, and 25 walks to only 35 strikeouts in 58 games at Nashville. And in his rehab assignment with the Arizona Complex League Brewers, also hit 5 homers and a 1386 OPS. So he's definitely graduated the low to mid tiers of minor league baseball. Last year I talked about that arm and that fielding grade. He only had a 17% caught stealing percentage as a catcher, but like I said, he just came off a torn shoulder labrum and he was banged up a lot last year. So I'm not really surprised that he was middle of the road when it comes to caught stealing. His last full year in 2023, 35% caught stealing percentage. 35. As a big league, if he was a big leaguer that season, he would have been second in baseball behind only Gabriel Moreno, who had a 44%, which is just otherworldly. This year, too, I did a quick check. This year, he also would have been second. I forget who. I think he would have been behind. No, he was ahead of Jonah Heim. I forget who was in that top 5, but he would have been second again in baseball this year with that 35% caught stealing percentage. So I think it's just time that the Brewers, this is one of those moves because the Brewers don't like to spend. They don't like to go out there and make themselves known on the market. This is one of those moves where they're going to go in-house for their backup, a guy with a lot of control like Caro. And you got to consider it too, William Contreras. He's not locked up long-term yet.
Mm-hmm.
So Caro's getting his audition. He's getting his time to shine in the sun, and we'll see what happens. I think Caro can be a very viable backup catcher in Major League Baseball this season. And my second guy here, Jacob, you already mentioned Carlos LaGrange. You're going to talk about him later. I'm going to talk about Spencer Jones, but I'm going to leave a lot of the meat and potatoes out for you so you can take care of that in the Farm Features tab. Spencer Jones, MLB's 99th overall prospect. He's slowly falling down the top 100s, but he's New York's number 4. His expected debut was 2025, despite not debuting last year. But did you guys lose me?
You're back.
You got
Yeah.
Okay. So Spencer Jones. All right. We're on Spencer Jones. Will 2026 finally be the year we see Spencer Jones in pinstripes? Right? He's 24 years old now. Very productive season split between AA and AAA last year at Somerset and Scranton Wilkes-Barre. 35 homers. That's a lot. He's got a big frame. He's very tall, very stocky. A la Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. Are those names familiar? Right? He's also one of only 4 outfielders on the Yankees 40-man roster. So I think it's probably common knowledge now that, 5 outfielders on the Yankees 40-man because they brought back Trent Grisham. I think we'll see Spencer Jones maybe not begin the season at New York in the Bronx, but I think we'll see him in the Bronx much sooner rather than later. He's just too big, too athletic to not be on a big league roster, and I think he could probably produce about the same as a guy like Jason Dominguez right now. So we'll see Spencer Jones pretty soon.
Great pick and great call on Caro. 70 grade arm, you don't see that very often, and I think it all makes sense, right? Jansen doesn't come back, would have been more expensive anyway. And if his audition is 25, 30 games as the backup for Willie, who got a little banged up last year, wasn't it like the thumb or the wrist, something with the hand, right? That's it.
He was playing with a broken finger for much of the season.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you don't want that to happen again, but in that exact scenario, maybe you're a little more confident in an in-house guy and you don't have to make a deadline move for somebody like Danny Jansen. And with him only being 23 years old, obviously you got some time left with control. If he can get close to that 35% caught stealing percentage in the big leagues, I mean, even high 20s, low 30s, maybe that's your future for good.
As a backup, and that's exactly what you want as a backup, too. Your backup catcher, you want to be defense first, and you want to be a guy that communicates well with the pitching staff and makes pitchers better, gets the best out of their pitchers, and that's part of the reason why the Brewers have turned into just this system that spits out quality pitching year in and year out. It's part because of the catchers. They have an actual pitching lab in Arizona that they literally won't let the press enter, right? They will not let journalists enter the pitching facility. They also have a catching lab.
Mm-hmm.
They have a legitimate catching lab. They're trying to start spitting out catchers and guys that'll work with the pitchers and guys that'll get the most out of their pitching staff. So Jefferson Caro is a product of that system. And it's been very beneficial for Milwaukee year in and year out. We've seen the success that they've had consistently over the past decade or so, and it's only going to continue with a guy like Jefferson Caro making his big league debut.
Great call. I mean, you get more stories like Quinn Priester. It helps when you have somebody 60 feet away calling the shots on the same page the entire time. Let's go on to our farm features here. There are 3 elements to this, since it's myself, Sam, and Jacob, and since we already knocked out the NL East, we move on to the AL East. I'm starting with the Tampa Bay Rays. They've got the number 2 pick in this year's draft. They've got a mix of league-ready guys and 3 to 4 year projects that they're going to have to fledge out and see what their future looks like within the organization. We'll go top 5 first, and first we begin with Carson Williams. Shortstop 2025. He did appear for a bit last year. MLB's number 50 overall prospect. And honestly, one of the best gloves of any prospect out there right now. This is a defense-oriented shortstop. More on that in a moment. 70 grade arm, 70 grade fielding attribute, that shortstop position. Now, when he did make his big league debut last year, I don't know if he was ready. He hit just 172. He had 44 strikeouts and 99 ABs. There is a lot to work on with the swing, but he is a wall in the infield. Major league comp, at least with his skill set, he's reminded me a lot of a guy named Dansby Swanson out of Vanderbilt. Minor league gold glove. As good of a glove as you're going to find. Plays the shortstop position really well, and that's not even arguably the reason that he's been rising up at the rate he has, but at times, and very often as of late, it's the offense that's bringing up the rear. Even in AAA, Carson Williams hit .213 with the Bulls. That is what got him graduated. Except it's not. It's his minor league gold glove. It's not the swing path that stays through the zone for a while, but is getting fooled by all the breaking stuff. It's his glove. So it's really working through, finding out how to identify a secondary or tertiary pitch a little bit sooner, staying on plane. He could have a major league gold glove in his future, but he's not going to have that if he strikes out 44% of the time and hits below the Mendoza line. So it's really figuring out what he can do on offense. Number 2 is Theo Gillen, one of those 3-4 year projects, right? Outfielder, ETA 2028, MLB's number 65 overall prospect. Gillen's the Rays 2024 first round pick. He does not have issues on offense. 60 grade hit tool, plenty of line drive power as a 20-year-old. Health is wealth with him. His issues staying on the baseball diamond, staying healthy. He had shoulder surgery on a torn labrum his sophomore year, knee injury his junior year that's been lingering since high school. The problem with those 2 injuries, gentlemen, the shoulder surgery had scouts worrying him about his arm, and the knee injury, all of a sudden that speedy guy who was able to be devious on the base paths, the knee can hinder that when it starts acting up. So we got to see him in 73 games in single A Charleston. He hit .267 with an .820 OPS. Just need him to stay on the field. Number 3 is Brody Hopkins, right-handed pitcher, ETA this upcoming year. He's an athlete. He played as a 2-way talent at the College of Charleston. Lengthy righty, 6'6", 200 pounds, yet relatively low release point from Hopkins. Not quite submarine, but kind of flirting with it. Nasty 5-pitch arsenal with the fastball and slider earning 60 grades. Control is everything for him. We discussed somebody like a Harling Susana last week. Lots of power, but has to work on control. That's pretty common, and it's the same idea here. 141 strikeouts in 116 innings, but he walked 60 guys. So prone to pluck a batter every once in a while, too, which obviously isn't ideal, despite the walk issues, despite plucking a lot of guys. He logged a .272 earned run average, a .125 whip, and has missed a lot of bats. That's why he's the top prospect in the Rays system. Sam, I want to revert to you with your experience because you played ball in high school. You were a PO, but I'm seeing this more and more through high school into college, and they're kind of starting to cut it at the minor league level. Guys who, not Shohei Ohtani's, but want to be 2-way stars. Does that athleticism from people you've worked with, what you've heard, what you've been around, help guys on the mound in terms of being able to make adjustments, or is that all a fib? Like, POs are going to be fine, or does being someone who's also hitting nukes into his college days draw him any benefit?
Well, it's a little bit of a 2-way street, right? Because, you think going back to like your youth, right? There's a lot more of an initiative to get kids away from sports specialization early on. Mm-hmm. And we're also seeing a large influx of people telling their kids, we want to get you to pitch. We also want you to play the field. We want to get you as much experience possible around the entire diamond, right? And it's not just to see, what you're good at. It is to make you a more well-rounded athlete and specifically a more well-rounded baseball player, right? So there is still benefit to being a 2-way player, But it should, in my mind, it should stop after high school.
Okay.
I don't think it really benefits you in college to be like Paul Skeens at Air Force, where he was striking guys out left and right, but also hit 20 tanks as an outfielder that year, right? It really does you no benefit. No one is going to be Shohei Ohtani ever again, right? That's got to be what's understood across all levels of baseball, big leagues included. There will never be another Shohei Ohtani, right? Thus, in college, whether you're at the JUCO level or the D3 level, the NAIA level, or the Vanderbilt, Texas A&M level, right? You should not be worried about playing every position on the field, right? It helps to have that versatility and it helps to have those abilities, but in game, you shouldn't really worry about playing, I have to start on Thursday, I'm hot on Thursday, and then Friday I'm getting ready to play second base, right?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the focus here. You should, when you're at that level of the game, you should be specialized at a specific position.
I like the take, and I'm appreciating that you brought that in, because on one end you see guys like Shohei Ohtani and you go, this is really fun, but even with him, he's had his elbow flare up a couple times already, and he's had to have surgery, and luckily he's still able to go out there and hit 40 home runs a year. But it's constantly juggling your 5-day program if you're a rotation piece, or your 2 to 3 day program if you're a bullpen guy who burned his arm out. And oh yeah, I got to go and swing my bat as hard as I can 9-10 times tomorrow, and hopefully nothing happens there. So appreciate that. I always just get curious because I'm seeing 6'6", 200 pounds. I got to the point where I'm like, how was Brody Hopkins in college? Like, is this a tool that maybe they'd want to bring back up? They have not. I think we've reached the point of no return. Number 4 is Jacob Melton, outfielder. Also appeared a little bit last year, 2025. He just came over to the Rays in a 3-way trade, including, not limited to, Mike Burrows over to the Astros, Brandon Lowe, obviously, the Pirates, and Melton was half of a prospect package that got shipped off to Tampa. We'll go strengths and weaknesses with him. This guy is your speedy outfielder for his strength with range on defense. He's an irritant on the base paths, but the hit tool, similar to that of Carson Williams, definitely a work in progress. What does he need to improve on? He allows the ball with that hit tool to get way too deep into the zone, and he trusts his hands to catch up when he's not exactly starting his swing yet, but he's had trouble as well identifying non-fastballs. And when he was actually in Houston's farm system, their development staff started saying, hey, let's attack the ball front of the plate, get out on it, don't wait for it to come to you. Still working on that. Rangy outfielder, very quick, and it's for a Rays team that is betting on their future to give them a longer window to contend with some of these guys in the crop. Number 5, Daniel Pierce, another shortstop, 3 to 4 year project, ETA 2029. I don't know if he'll be a shortstop in 3 to 4 years. They can mold him. They have time. He was the first round pick from this year. Born in 2006. Yeah, we're pretty old. I have 5 years on him, and this dude's already playing pro ball. We're going to be seeing him make his pro debut next couple of years, or next year, I think, right? He didn't play last year. The schedule was a little late from when he got drafted. Very mature at the plate. That's what's on his scouting report. I'm curious to see that, right? You have someone who is going to be 19 years old when he makes his debut. That is a rare breed to see a sub-20 prospect described as mature. Jesus Mate was one of those, and his walk and strikeout rates have been around the same since he debuted as a 16, 17-year-old. Those are really rare. So I'm curious to see if the first rounder right away is as stingy as he's advertised to be. His biggest strength, 60-grade speed in the base paths. See if we can get some more speed into a feeder system that just had Chandler Simpson graduate last year. And if you didn't know about Chandler Simpson before as a minor league fan and you just watched big league ball, a lot of people took notice to what he was able to do in limited time. Diamond in the rough, I have number 15 in the pipeline, Trevor Harrison, another righty on the mound, 2028 ETA. Had 100 punchies in 107 innings of work for High A Bowling Green, went 8-3 last year. Only 150 hits allowed in 180 innings over 2 years. But the walk rate's a little high, pitched in some postseason games in the minors last year, so he got to show off his stuff in a higher leverage environment. High 90s fastball as well. Really goes after hitters. That's on the scouting report too. He's not nibbling at the zone. Sometimes he will just throw at you. I'm going to throw this 97 over the plate, up to you to try and catch up to it. Strengths, really quick for the whole prospect pipeline. speed. It does not stop with Chandler Simpson. You notice that in a couple of these top 5 guys. Almost every single one of them, outside of the pitcher in Hopkins, they have words like instinctual and twitchy and quick and fast in their background. Taking advantage of the rules in today's game with the disengagements and the pitch clock, I think that's going to be advantageous. Weakness, I'm looking up and down. I don't see a whole lot of league-ready pitching. Nobody in their top 15 is in AAA at this point. I think Anderson Brito, that was an important get. But for a team that just offloaded Shane Baz to get Brito, I'm curious to see what the rotation and the bullpen looks like for a team that was middle of the road in a lot of categories this year. Curious what your guys' perspective is with that too. I listed off a lot of speedy guys at short and outfield. Some have good gloves. I didn't list a whole lot of outgetters, and that concerns me a little bit for the long term for the Rays.
Yeah, I think looking at that for the Rays, I mean, they've kind of built their identity around those guys that play great defense, have speed. You know, Kevin Cash, going back to when they were in the World Series back in 2020. I mean, they had a lot of those versatile players, but just the way the game's trending, you gotta get some more players with pop, and you gotta get some more polished, ready pitchers. I think they've, really done a great job. We talked about it last week with the Braves and what they've been able to do in molding pitchers, and the Rays have done such a great job. But yeah, I think you really like to have that prize that you can just make a few tweaks and he's ready to go. So they had that with Boz a few years ago. It hasn't really translated, but yeah, interested to see, if they move. They're so prone to moving guys from the big league roster to get in some other prospects of other different areas. So interested if that's a route they go in season as well.
It's kind of the song and dance they've been playing for a bit. All right, we go through the AL East, and it's Yankees time. Typically, when you think of teams like the Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, you kind of wonder what they're going to do in free agency and the trade market. Jacob, they've got a pretty good pipeline, especially those top 2 names you're about to share with us here.
Yeah. Four players also in the top 100. Sam mentioned Spencer Jones. We'll get to him a little bit later on. We'll start with the number 1 name is George Lombard Jr., a guy that wears many hats, fellas. He can do a lot of different things on the baseball diamond. One of the best middle infielders in the minors. Versatile, exceptional, a lot of different skills. Struggled at the end of the last season. Just 215 average in Double-A Somerset, where he finished off at 84 hits, 24 doubles. Yankees might be cautious with him because of Anthony Volpe, but he's a guy that plays excellent defense. His father was a coach and still is a coach in baseball. He has that IQ that he brings to the game, the speed, the defense, the power. A guy that I look at him on the diamond is a young George Springer. I think the way that he plays the game with his IQ, his presence. He's a big, stocky guy. He fields short. They had him at third. He has range across the infield. So really like his demeanor. The biggest question for me, he struggled hitting the fastball. He struggled hitting some velocity high in the zone at the end of the season, which is very interesting. Again, a guy of that stature with a very quick swing. So that's a little thing he's got to tweak. Right now an ETA of 2027, but again, an injury here or there. He could end the season in AAA, but I think the Yankees are going to try and slow play it a little bit with him, give him some more time to continue to adjust the bat and grow that part of his game, but he could get called up sooner. And again, the Yankees so aggressive with the trade market. He is a prize for a big name, a big fish that they could look after for moving forward. The number 2 name for the Yankees, talked about him earlier on guys that could get caught up, is Carlos LaGrange, the number 74 prospect in Major League Baseball, 2026 ETA. Talked about him earlier, electric rising fastball. Missed most of 2024 with an arm injury, but has bounced back in a big way, making double-digit starts this year. Have to limit the walks. Command is an issue, but 6'7" on the hill. Sam's gonna get mad at me over there. But I mean, look at The fastball, I think, again, is that attribute. So lively, has some breaking stuff, slider, a curve that he mixes in, a changeup. I think that is where really going to be his next step. The arsenal is there. It's the command, very Hunter Green-esque, where if he can put it together, the breaking stuff can be very deceptive. He has that ability to blow hitters away with his fastball mixing in the breaking stuff. Number 3, another pitcher. Again, almost an antithesis of the Rays here. The Yankees with a lot of pitching talent at the top, especially in their top 5. Elmer Rodriguez, MLB's number 97 and an ETA also of 2026. Strong starter in the Yankees system, 4-pitch mix for Rodriguez, even a little splitter change action as well. Not as high velocity as LaGrange, but still mid-90s, has topped out at 95, 96. Signature skill, the walk rate. Just 57 walks, 150 innings last season across 3 levels. He also gets weak contact, just 12 home runs allowed in 4 seasons in minor league ball. He doesn't allow the big home runs, the extra base hits, weak contact with the breaking stuff. Fastball saw an uptick in velo, topping out high to mid 90s, second in all of MILB in strikeouts, and 8th in ERA last year. He was acquired in the Carlos Narvaez trade with the Boston Red Sox, so, might not be Babe Ruth, but he is sure making the Red Sox pay in the minor leagues with his performance. Another player could be debuting next year, depending on how the Yankees want to kind of use his time in the minors. And number 4, as Sam, a little teaser earlier on, Spencer Jones, the number 99 prospect in the majors, outfielder 2026. Power personified, as Sam mentioned earlier. I mean, just incredible pop, hard hit rate from Jones. Ball flies off the bat. I think when he makes contact, it flies. The biggest thing is, again, laying off the breaking stuff, using his frame to his advantage. Still is really trying to master that. He batted 274 last year. Biggest thing for me, 933 OPS, which is second best to his beginning season just 3 years ago. So he's really getting better, especially at the higher levels of getting on base with the walks. 3 straight seasons of at least 20 doubles as well. So I think, as Sam mentioned earlier, he is going to be a name that the Yankees, I think, are going to bring up, whether it's DH, whether it's right field, especially with Stanton, outfielder, DH. Really got to get him off his feet. He's not a fielder anymore at all. So I think Jones, key candidate to put out there in left. Number 5 is Bryce Cunningham, right-handed pitcher, 2026. 2077 ETA is a bit farther away. He's in high A right now. Right-handed pitcher, got some experience in the fall league this past year. 60 grade fastball, 60 grade changeup. Key theme here, guys, the fastball is electric with these Yankees prospects. Finished high A with a 5-3 record, 282 ERA with high A Hudson Valley. Fastball could be used out of the bullpen, still developing a slider. Fastball, changeup are great. Slider still needs some work. Struggled in the Arizona Fall League with over a 10 ERA. Had a good 4-inning scoreless outing in a playoff game against Salt River in the Fall League, but still working with that arsenal. And another guy that the Yankees could develop into a middle reliever, get that out pitch of a slider, good fastball mix as well. Diamond in the rough is Manny Cedeno, the number 21 player in the Yankee system. ETA is 2030, so he's got some time. He's got some years away. 17-year-old international signing that has some potential at shortstop, but a project. Struggled this past year in rookie ball, but the projection is there. One of the best hitters in the 2025 international signing class. Sweet and quick swing. Listed at number 11 in the international international signing, and the Yankees signed him out of the San Pedro de Macorís, Dominican Republic. Some other baseball titans that are from that area in the Dominican Republic: Robinson Cano, Alfonso Soriano, Fernando Tatis Jr. Some excellent names. Averaged just about a strikeout per game this past year in rookie ball, but what I really liked in the last season is he was lifting the ball in the final month of 2025. 3 home runs and finished August with a .588 slugging percentage. So really started to lift the ball, get the ball in the air, and get some extra base hits to end his season. Some strengths, some weaknesses. I'll go with 2 strengths. I mean, we'll go with major league ready, talented arms that they could bring up ready to go next season, and fastballs. I mean, seems like a very simple pitch, but you look at Cam Strittler last year bursting onto the scene with his fastball, electric against the Red Sox in the postseason. But LaGrange, Cunningham, Rodriguez, the system is built with gas, fellas, and 100 with run, high 90s with carry. The Yankees have some guys that can really take down some of their big guys, 60, 70 grades across the board. And for weaknesses, corner infield, like Ben Rice holding it down right now at the big league level. Ryan McMahon, who we talked about earlier with the Rockies, who they traded prospects away to get. Right now, TJ Rumfield, the team's number 24 prospect, the only guy in the top 30 right now that is listed as a first base, third base. This team has constantly been out in the trade market. Paul Goldschmidt, who they signed to play first, so they really don't have a deep pipeline when it comes to being able to move guys or guys that are really playing that position at a high level in the minor leagues.
You mentioned a lot of pitchers. I do think it's interesting that there's teams like the Yankees and the Rays, both in the same division, AL East. Their top prospect is a shortstop who is struggling to hit. But keep in mind, it wasn't that long ago, right? The shift was outlawed. You can't put your third baseman on second anymore. So the athleticism of a shortstop, the athleticism of a middle infielder with a really good glove, especially when you have Anthony Volpe up there, which sure, he hit 19 home runs, but he struggled with errors. He had a career-high 19 this year through 3 years. I think there's a lot of value now with infielders and their defense as opposed to maybe 10 years ago when teams were allowed to shift and put all 4 infielders on one side of second base. Now, George Lombard, even if he's only hitting .215 in AA, if he's got a really good glove, he might go up to AAA because that's what happened with Carson Williams since his glove was so solid. So awesome stuff, and it's important to have pitching when you have that short porch and right, because not only can you take advantage of it, but you can also fall victim to it if you are a pitcher in New York.
That's all true, and I like that you brought up the top prospects in the AL East seem like shortstops who struggle to hit now. Well, let me tell you about a shortstop who isn't struggling to hit in the Red Sox top 5. I took those guys for this week. They have 3 of their top 5 prospects in the top 100, so they're not very top heavy of a prospect farm, but they do have a lot of solid depth. Like a lot of guys that are in that like 110, 120s echelon of MLB's top 100, like guys that are just missing. But Franklin Arias, he played his first double A games, in 2025 with the Portland Sea Dogs, and it wasn't too shabby in the numbers department either. In just 10 games there, slash line was 261, 250, 435, so kind of low in the OPS department, but he's never been known to be a real power hitter, and it was, like I said, his first taste of double A ball. I'm not too surprised that he didn't do so well with the stick. But still, 2 doubles, 2 homers. Nothing to sniff at, especially in 10 games there. As a whole in 2025, which includes 19 games at Single A Salem with the Ridge Yaks, 87 games at High A with the Greenville Drive, and those 10 games at Portland, 278, 335, 388. So 723 OPS. That's pretty average to above average for a minor leaguer, especially in those lower to middle echelons. 27 doubles, 8 homers, 66 RBIs, and 38 walks, so only 53 strikeouts as well. So in over 110 games, only 53 strikeouts for a guy like Franklin Arias. It's good plate presence. He also had a 982 fielding percentage at shortstop, which if he would have been in the big leagues this year, that's good for tied for 7th with Joey Ortiz, who is known for having a very good glove. So Franklin Arias, he's got the glove. The stick is there. Projected debut 2027. I'm going to go 2028, though. I think he waits till 2028 to debut. He is young. He's only about 20, I think turning 21 years old very shortly. So unless Christian Campbell moves to the outfield permanently, you have guys like Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer, Romy Gonzalez, David Hamilton, and more that are all plugging up the infield for at least another season or two because they all have control, right? And they also just brought in Wilson Contreras. So the infield is filling up and filling up fast. I say they need to let Arias develop maybe a little bit more power and keep giving him reps around the infield. He might end up taking a spot from one of those guys. Number 2 is Peyton Tolley. Talked about him last week when I included him in my Tarek Skubal trade package. He's another towering left-hander with a high 90s fastball. He might as well just be Tarek Skubal too, right? 7'4" was his average extension off the mound when he was playing college ball at TCU. And according to MLB.com, he's got this bulldog mentality where he just goes right after you. He's pounding the zone. There's lots of fastballs. He wants you to hit him. He wants it to happen, right? And I think that's kind of what you want out of one of your 1 or 2 pitchers in the starting rotation. In one of your top arms, that's what you want, right? He put together a terrific 2025 across high A, double A, and triple A, which got him to the big leagues by the end of August. It didn't go so well. He gave up at least 1 run in 5 of his 7 appearances in the bigs, but he's already there, right? There's no projected debut here for Peyton Tolley. If he has a solid spring, he's going to end up starting the year as a middle reliever for the Red Sox. He might see some spot starts, but because Boston brought in a few starters already and they're still in the market for more, odds are he won't have any starting opportunities, but that's not a bad thing, though, right? Number 3, Kyson Witherspoon, another right-handed starter. He's MLB's 89th overall prospect. I guess I should have mentioned Peyton Tolley's the number 28 in MLB.com's top 100. Kyson Witherspoon, number 89. He was Boston's 2025 first-round pick, 15th overall this year out of Oklahoma, and he's got wicked stuff with the right-handed pitcher. 65 grade fastball, 60 on his curve, slider, and cutter. Does have a 45 grade on his changeup, but when you have 60 plus on 4 of your 5 pitches, I think it's all right to just have a changeup in the mix as is. Fastball tops out at 99. His slider can hit in the low 90s at times when he's on his game. He led the SEC in strikeout to walk ratio at 5.4 in 2025. He also had a 2.65 ERA and an 11.7 Ks per 9. That strikeout to walk ratio would have been 4th in Major League Baseball, this season. Didn't play any minor league ball in 2025, but despite that, I'd be shocked if he started 2026 anywhere below Greenville, their high A affiliate. So I think that's where he's going to start. He projected debuts 2027. I'm going to agree with that. 2027 for me as well. He did 3 years in college, so he's already 21 plus. He's going to be 22 soon, so I could see 2027 for sure, especially considering all the guys that Boston currently has in their starting rotation under contract right now. We'll talk more about that in a second. Connolly Early is their number 4. He's one of those guys, like I was saying, that is just outside of the top 100 in Boston's system. He's added some fastball velo in 24 and 25, tops out at 96 miles an hour now. He's a very balanced left-handed pitcher with a 4-pitch mix, and he had a terrific 2025 as well between AA at Portland and AAA. In 21 games, 18 of them starts, he had a 2.6 ERA, 40 walks, and 127 strikeouts. He's a big strikeout guy, and I think it's because he can throw the whole kitchen sink at you. 197 batting average against, a 111 whip. Projected debuts this coming season, 2026. I'm going right with that. 2026. I could see him and Peyton Tolley being guys you see in long to middle relief roles, and eventually I think Connolly Early starts getting starting opportunities before Peyton Tolley, simply because Tolley is that bulldog. And because they already have a solid 1-2 in the rotation, they're not going to have Tolley as the guy that backs up Garrett Crochet. They're going to want a guy like Connolly Early in the 3 or 4 slot to go every couple days between him and Garrett Crochet. And it's a pretty stark difference between the two of them, too. So if they start in the same series, the team's not going to have the same exact read off a left-handed pitcher. Lastly, Justin Gonzalez, outfielder, 18 years old. He's already at high A Greenville with the drive. He'll be 19 on New Year's Eve. I also included him in my Tarek Skubal trade package last week. He had an 804 OPS at Single A Salem in 2025. He had a terrific Dominican League, he was a DOSL with the Red Sox. He was awesome there. 6'4" frame, decent speed, and he's got an amazing arm that just screams amazing all-star right fielder someday. I like Justin Gonzalez for the future. I think this is a guy that obviously for Tarek Skubal you should consider if Detroit asks for him. But this is a guy that I think Boston, because right field is so deep in Boston, they should look to hold on to him for as long as they can. His projected debut is 2029. I'm rolling with 2030 though. For the same reason why I'm going to push Franklin Arias back a season in projection, I'm going to do the same with Justin Gonzalez. A lot of controllable guys out there, like Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell if he moves out there. So I like Justin Gonzalez in 2030. He's also, like I said, he's going to be 19 in a week. You got to give him some time to develop. Maybe these numbers are a fluke. Maybe he turns out to nothing. You got to give him time to figure that out. He's not a top 100 prospect yet, but I think he's going to be someone that will end up being in MLB.com's top 100 by season's end 2026. My diamond in the rough for Boston is actually their number 6 prospect now, Mikey Romero. He's an infielder, primarily second base, third base, came up through the system as a shortstop, however, but especially this season at AAA, he only saw reps at second base and third base. He should be, because of Franklin Arias and because of David Hamilton, because of Marcelo Meyer, he should be an extremely enticing trade target for any team with big league pitching to spare. Like, I don't know, Milwaukee, right? Freddie Peralta. That would be awesome as a Brewers fan to see Mikey Romero come up and tandem with Caleb Durbin a little bit, or tandem with Bryce Turang. Maybe there's been rumors that Bryce Turang gets moved in 2026 or 2027. Mikey Romero is a perfect fill-in. He's basically just a shorter Bryce Turang. Solid glove, 2020 potential for sure. The only difference is that he's got a little bit of a strikeout problem, Mikey Romero does. His slash line last year, 245, 300, 452. He did have 17 homers. He had 15-plus homers for another consecutive year. He also had 33 doubles. So I really like Mikey Romero. Short-term potential. I think he debuts as early as 2026 just to audition for teams that would look to trade for an infielder like Mikey Romero. Their main strength here in Boston's system, future starters. Just like the big league roster, the minor leagues are loaded with starting pitching on their end. Kyson Witherspoon is one of them. Connolly Early we just talked about. Jake Bennett, the guy they just acquired from the Nationals. David Sandlin, Marcus Phillips, he was their I think competitive balance pick out of Tennessee this year. Anthony Ianson, the list goes on. They got a lot of guys lined up to be future starting pitchers in Boston and in Fenway Park. Their weakness, the one that really caught my eye, catching. Not impressed with their 2 catchers they have in their top 30 right now. Not impressed by Jorge Rodriguez or Yohan Fran Garcia quite yet. There's no really franchise option in sight in their minor league system, but it shouldn't be too concerning at the moment because they do have Carlos Narvaez, plenty of team control at the big league level, and he put together a solid season last year. It really isn't a problem. It's a good problem to have that they have a catcher with so much control in his mid to late 20s right now, and he's starting to put things together, and he's going to be cheap to renew and in arbitration. They shouldn't really be concerned about not having, top of the line catching talent in their top 30 until probably, 3 years down the line from now, like 2029. They shouldn't really be too concerned about that catching weakness right now.
Sam, awesome job. I think with the pitching, I have a couple notes, and when you brought up Peyton Tolley, I've seen pictures, I've seen some tape, but you started painting the picture of the Bulldog mentality. Remember Andrew Chafin? Like, that's
I do.
Kind of what it's starting to remind me of, right? Like big burly guy who's going to attack the zone, especially if he comes out of mid-relief. Kind of just has the same profile, if you will, as I start to think of what Peyton Tolley could be for them, hopefully better. Kyson Witherspoon, anytime you see 4 different 60-grade pitches for an SEC arm, I feel like the Red Sox scouts were just drooling when he was available for them, right? Like,
And I'm glad you just brought that up. He wasn't even supposed to be at that 15th pick. Baseball America had him at number 7 in the draft,
yeah.
and I think MLB.com had him at number 12. So he fell to 15. It was a big slide for whatever reason. I think it was just more of, because there's really, when you're drafting in MLB, and it's like the NHL draft too, there's no real, like, this guy's getting drafted and instantly getting called up, right? You saw that with Nolan Shonwell a couple years ago with the Angels, and look how that's turned out. He hasn't been the greatest, but he's been solid, right? There's no real MLB talent that's coming straight out of the draft. You have to let him develop a little bit. Same with the NHL. Obviously, outside of guys like Connor Bedard, or when Connor McDavid was drafted, or when Sidney Crosby was drafted, it's the same exact concept. There's no real throw this guy in the NHL right now, he's going to be amazing talent other than those 1 in a million kind of guys. And we haven't seen that with really anyone in Major League Baseball yet. So Kyson Witherspoon, it was a slide, but we got to remember he probably could have been the first overall pick, right? If the Nationals didn't want to go with Eli Willits, they could have went with Kyson Witherspoon.
He fell, and I love it. And last thing I had before I pass on over to Jacob here and we round up our farm features, when you brought up Mikey Romero and started theorizing if Bryce Terang were to be on the move, could this be a depth piece? And then our comment section started to get in. Kyle Davis was talking about Made. I think the three of us could spend literally 3 hours just talking about the state of the Brewers' middle infield and what it could be going forward. You have the hole over at short with Ortiz not having a great bat. You have Made, Pena, and Pratt coming up. If you were to move Terang, could you shift one of those guys over? Durbin at the hot corner had a great year, but he's a rookie. Like, there is so much to unfold with what the Brewers are doing that I was very tempted to jump in and start talking Brewers with you a moment ago.
Kyle, you're the answer to that last comment you left, Kyle, with all those guys in the farm. The first step in getting those dudes big league ready is getting rid of Joey Ortiz. That's the first step, and then if you do move Terang, because I feel like Terang will be a contract year move, kind of like what we did with Corbin Burns and what we did with Devin Williams, and what we might inevitably do still with Freddie Peralta. Is you wait till Terang is in that contract year in 2028, I believe it is, maybe 29, and then you flip them. Right, Jesus Madej, Luis Pena, they're both like just turning 20. Cooper Pratt is the guy that I would look to call up first, and I think he profiles more of a third base kind of guy. He is tall, but Joey Ortiz's glove is just too good to get out of the lineup right now. Until guys like Madej and Pena are also ready, you're riding with what you got. But yeah, the farm is so deep. They had a deep farm like this about a decade ago now too. Those guys though, none of them really turned out. I mean, look at Corey Ray. Played one big league game. He was the Brewers' number 5 prospect back in the day. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But they have turned into one of the premier destinations to look for farm talent in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and just to go back to the Red Sox and go into their pitching too, I think looking at it as well, the left-handed pitching talent with Tolley, with Early, especially looking in the future, we look at the present free agent class with really recent past free agent classes, these left-handed pitchers are getting paid. And if the Red Sox can develop these guys, not only for them personally, but having, 2, 3 very strong, and as you mentioned, Sam, a point you brought up with Early, with Crochet, kind of different arm slots, different actions from these left-handed pitchers, just going to give teams fits when you have Crochet and Early in a series, or Early and Tolley in a series, where it's like, okay, how am I going to stack this lineup against this guy that uses his whole arsenal, uses all different quadrants of the plate, and is just going to straight up attack me with, low 90s, high 80s, breaking stuff, tailing in on the back foot of a righty. So that's what's impressive with me, with they have so many great left-handed pitchers as well. It's going to help teams interested if they want to trade. Hey, team wants a left-handed pitcher in this system. Oh, get a good MLB play in exchange, or hold on to him, like you said, for years down the line.
And Sam, this was your pick for Tarek Skubal. You brought it up at the beginning, but if you're worried that these guys don't turn out, I know Early had a few starts last year. He actually went into the postseason, and if it wasn't for guys like Savage and Schlittler, he would have been probably the brightest story of guys who came up from the postseason and performed well on the mound. But I'll tell you what, if
it's more so if the Red Sox would have gotten past the Yankees in the wild card. That's when he would have been the story. But yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, you just keep going, and if he was able to get a start or two more and back it up with another great one and he wasn't outdueled. But man, if you're worried about the Earlys and the Tolleys of the world and Witherspoon not turning out, package them up, put a nice bow on them for Christmas, and ship them off to Detroit for Tarek Skubal, if Detroit wants to do that.
Absolutely.
I liked the pick when you put it up, especially because the thought of Crochet and Skubal in the same rotation was mouthwatering to begin with. Now you marched us through, and I'm glad you picked the Red Sox, what they have at their disposal from a pitching perspective. And just with southpaws, it makes a lot of sense. Like, if they want to do it, I think it makes sense for Detroit. I think it makes sense for Boston. And I think it's a fun little idea to explore. So well done, man. That was awesome. All right, and as we go through, we only have one segment left, but first, quick message for those of you who are not able to catch this episode in its live capacity. Here's all the information you need to know in less than 30 seconds on our promo.
Did you miss the live version of our Minor League Weekly podcast? No worries. We've got you covered at Minor League Minute on YouTube and Minor League Weekly on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Then you can go back to watch or listen to the whole episode for all of your prospect and affiliate ball needs. So what are you waiting for? Go follow, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications to get caught up with the latest. That's Minor League Weekly on all of those platforms.
And we are back on Minor League Weekly with only one more segment. The Farm Features. We started off the AL East. We'll round it up next week, and that'll be the last episode of 2025. I'll try and keep my see you next year jokes to a minimum until then. We did our AAA winners. We go on to our AA winners. Do you guys hate that, or are you culprits of that? Are you, both of you, Sam and
yes,
Jacob, do you do it or do you hate it? Because I feel like you can only be on one side of the aisle.
The see you next year jokes.
Yeah.
I
say it. I say it.
I'm about on the same side of that as I am with the whole 6-7 stuff.
Fair. Got a good mix. I'm in Jacob's.
I'd stay away from that, but it's fun. It's funny to do, like, ironically just once,
okay.
Right? Like, you're at a bar, you're out for New Year's Eve, and you go to the bathroom or something, you tell your buddy, hey, I'm using it real quick. I'll see you next year, or go with something like that. Like, it's fun to do it once and then never again. And then you look in the mirror in the bathroom, you just kind of hate yourself for a little bit. And then you go back out and have a good time, right? So
okay.
That's where I stand on that.
So my quota is 1, and Jacob's quota is 1. Good to know before we really start to take you off. We did our AAA teams that won their respective titles the last couple of weeks. We're just making our way down the ladder here with AA. And the Springfield Cardinals, we've talked about them in a limited capacity with Weatherholt, were Texas League champs this past summer going into the fall. They finished with the best record on the circuit. They led the circuit in ERA, mid-threes, strikeouts with 1,234 or 1,234, which is kind of fun. Average against was 227. This was a team that was described as the group of destiny. They held at least a share of first place starting on May 30th and never looked back until they reached a best-of-3 series against the Midland Rockhounds and lost game 1. So all of a sudden, a team that nobody could catch had their backs against the wall. 2 blowout victories later, the very last one in a deciding game that ended 13-1, and they are Texas League champs. Standout, we've talked about him, J.J. Weatherholt, only there for 62 games. He did his part and then some. He was as advertised and moved on up thanks to a 300 average, 67 hits in 62 games, and OPS just shy of 900. My favorite part about him, I love plate discipline guys as they're making their way up because I feel like that's where you see some drop off, or that's where you get kind of in trouble as a prospect that brings a lot of power or a lot of speed. If the strikeout rate's high and you can't contribute, you can't play small ball, you can't get on, you're not going to be long in this league. And I don't think Weatherholt's going to have that issue, even if there is a bit of a learning curve. 44 walks, 40 strikeouts, seeing the ball really well. Springfield Cardinals fans got a front row seat to that. I don't know, guys. I'm not a big fan of, obviously, what the Cardinals have done in the big leagues, and I think most baseball fans wouldn't either. They've kind of aged out. Their competitive window isn't in a great spot. But when you have a Weatherholt and you have one of very few that I would tab as a 5-tool player, brighter days could be ahead.
I agree with that, and
think we got you
back
now.
having some additional technical difficulties taking place here. Christmas difficulties here. The snow is falling in the internet here.
There we go.
So yeah, I guess continuing. Talking about the pitching, as you highlighted, Cory, we talked about the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp a few weeks ago with our initial feature, and when you have that pitching and showcasing it, not just as a singular player, but as a unit, really builds confidence for those players when they move up to the next level, when they get an eventual big league promotion. Also, they were third in the Texas League in home runs and stolen bases. So offense, not a huge loss. They were hitting bombs, and they were also stealing bags when they were on Weatherholt. A big part of it with, as you mentioned, that 5-tool skill of stealing it and getting on. So it's very important for the Cardinals. You mentioned that, in between at the big league level where they have, the mismanagement of Jordan Walker, I think, with him being up, down, and really middle of the pack in everything. They really didn't have any kind of signature skill. So I think when you can have that pitching and signature skill in Double-A, it's huge moving up through the minors.
Yeah, and I really hope that they don't mismanage a guy like Joshua Baez next, their number 13 prospect, who's a midseason call-up from High A Peoria to come up to Springfield, and he only got better, really. I mean, the OPS went down 4 1,000ths, right? That's very marginal decrease, but he did play, and after playing 38 at Peoria, he played 79 with Springfield, and he slashed 271, 374, 509. He also hit 16 home runs with Double-A Springfield, which was the most in a single season with any level in his minor league career thus far. This is a guy that I could see maybe even starting the year at Triple-A. He's 22 years old. He was a second rounder back in 2021, and they're projecting that he might even debut this season. So I think a guy like Joshua Baez, if you're the St. Louis Cardinals or at least a fan of the team, you really got to hope that they don't mismanage a guy like him next, because it's obviously taken a toll a little bit on Jordan Walker's career to this point. Joshua Baez, he's got that power already, 60 grade power, 60 grade arm as well out in the outfield. He's another guy that I could see being a strong corner outfield option for them, or even just get him at DH to start and figure out where he goes from there. But I think he's got to see AAA first. But he was definitely a crucial element of their Texas League championship.
I'm glad you guys brought up Walker, because there's certain examples of somebody getting called up from AAA, it doesn't work out, and the smart decision, you always hear it that way, right? The mature decision is to put them back down to AAA. Hopefully it's a get right week or two, and then they're ready. But you do that a couple times in a row in a short period, and all of a sudden it's no longer, oh, his confidence will build in AAA. It's, you call it imposter syndrome, call it self-doubt, what have you. The confidence starts taking a hit. Now it's, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm a quadruple A player. I mean, as someone who grew up watching the Cubs, and even a couple years ago, we saw this with Matt Mervis. He got called up like 3 different times, went to Miami this last year, and finally started to break out and find it. They did it with Matt Shaw this year. They actually sent him back down and said, dude, the glove's great, but you're just not ready. But all of a sudden, if you do that 2, 3, 4 times, it seems like you start to teeter a line where the player doesn't know if it's a great fit, the team doesn't know where to put them, the player isn't confident in themselves, and you'd hate to see that happen with a Baez or a Weatherholt. I think Weatherholt's a little more polished, where that becomes a lingering issue where you thought you had the guy, and then you fired it prematurely, and 2-3 months of nightmare exchanges later, no one knows what they're doing, right?
We could take that if you want.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I think that's a great point. And yeah, for St. Louis, you know, the guys are coming out the door. Talked about the Wilson Contreras trade, some young prospects coming in. So you know, it's very important that you know, Heim Bloom, you know, leading the charge. It's all about trying to supplement these older players, trying to get the exchange of some of these younger you know, players into the mix. You still got some veterans that some teams are interested in, trying to get maximize value and get, you know, prospects that are ready to plug and play, and not in that situation where it's like, oh, you know, he has this skill, he has that skill that you could translate up and down. So you know, they're in an interesting situation, in a very difficult competitive division. So very interested to see where they go from here, especially in the minor leagues and their prospect pool.
Awesome stuff. Well, I believe that's going to do it for our AA team. Got your headlines, naughty and nice list, on deck the halls, farm features for the first half, or first 3/5 of the AL East. We'll round that up next week on the other end of Christmas. If you tuned in, whether live on YouTube or afterwards on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we appreciate you so much. We hope you have a happy holidays. This has been Minor League Weekly. We'll catch you in 7 days.
Every story starts somewhere, and in baseball, that somewhere is the minors. The breakout stars,
Early on in day 3 of the draft, the Pirates called.
the wild moments, and the prospects you need to know about.
A sub-3 ERA in both single and double A.
This is Minor League Weekly, your inside look at the future of the game.